from McCarthy and Associates sits opposite me today. We're looking at Finance Day. Dave, good morning to you.
Good morning, Keith.
Thanks for joining us. Now, I have a number of issues, and one of them is a PAYE employee for the last 10 years. And last year in 2012, I worked for 7 months, and I paid tax weekly as a PAYE employee, and it's on the payslip. Then I got sick and claimed illness benefit for 5 months because I was unfit to work. I got the P22 tax statement from Revenue lately saying that I owe them €1,000 in tax from 2012. How could this be when I have the tax paid already as a PAYE employee? It's kind of complex, but what can they do in that
Well,
situation?
I think what they probably should do is it's probably the first time they've experienced this, and if they went to an accountant, really just a small practice, somebody that'll just handle this and give them advice on a once-off basis is probably the best thing to do.
Really, just...
Yeah, or else if you want to go back in and query it with the Revenue initially, and if you're not happy with it then, go and get independent advice from somebody like that. But maybe their first port of call should be to get an explanation from the Revenue.
Now, I want to look at... there's a recent survey, by the way, which shows a fall in house insurance premiums. It's a pity it's not the same when it comes to cars, but what's the situation with house insurance?
Well, basically, house insurance premiums, as you probably know, right through those 2 very bad winters we've had, went through the roof. But obviously, they've been experiencing a dramatic drop, I would say, in claims, and a survey came out recently to show the premiums have gone down. And why this is important, for obvious reasons, is for people to be aware of the fact that premiums have dropped, and that they should not just automatically accept what's sent to them in their renewal notice every year. They should go back to the company that they're with and see if they can reduce the premium. They should shop around. They could use a broker. They could go online. But I mean, certainly savings are there that can be made. One area too that people have a tendency to, I suppose, avail of is some of the reductions that you can get. For example, if you have a certain excess that you're willing to pay in your policy in relation to a claim, you'll get a reduction in your premium. And one of the more common ones, obviously, is if you have an alarm in the house. Now, the one thing I just say to people about the alarm one is, if you tell the company you have an alarm in your house, you will get a reduction in your premium. But that comes with an obligation. The obligation is you have to have the alarm on. The number of people, Keith, who have alarms and don't turn them on is just phenomenal. And they would have informed the insurance company that they have the alarm. They're getting the discount as a result. Now, the problem there is if your house is broken into and you're not using the alarm, and there's ways they can obviously check this, well then they could invalidate your claim or certainly reduce it. So it's very important that you do turn on the alarm. I mean, it's a habit thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like locking the door. If you lock the front door, or at least if you're not, you should. If there's somebody out there who's not locking the front door, well, I don't know what to say to them. You turn on the alarm. You go to bed, you turn it on. But once you've told the insurance company, it is a serious issue if you have a claim and you haven't been using the alarm. So I would just say about house insurance premiums, shop around. And unfortunately, the house insurance industry area has seen a thing come in recent years, which doesn't appear, if you like, on your policy. And that's kind of like a no claims bonus, where your premium has been reduced through the fact that you haven't had any claims. Traditionally, house policies didn't have that feature within them, but it's been, I suppose, an area that our insurance companies have been doing everything they can to avoid paying claims. And a lot of people who were listening this morning who have made claims know how
shaking their heads saying, I know what that is.
Yeah. And I mean, house insurance used to be one of the areas, I suppose, that was very good value. People would have had a very good claims experience, but anyway, go back to the premiums. It's important to shop around.
All right. Somebody's been on to us today about suspicious phone calls, and identity fraud is on the increase. I suppose the simple advice is hang up. Well,
let's face it, we've seen all the scams that are online, and I'll just say to anybody, reiterate once again, do not touch or respond or open emails that you get that look as if you've won the Spanish lotto, or there's a fella in Nigeria telling you you're going to win, he'll give you 2 million if you give him some money. All this stuff is, they're all scams. But these fraudsters are getting more and more sophisticated as time goes on. And one of the areas that it's happening in is that people are getting phone calls, supposedly, or I suppose with the impression that from a genuine source. And I've heard of a couple of cases recently where phone calls have come through purporting to be from a credit card company looking to verify some of the transactions on your credit card account. Now, in doing so, they will ask for some details from you, and that's where the problem starts.
But Dave, I have to say it's very genuine. Some of the emails that come in, but I got one last week, and I actually thought it was... do you know what I did? I actually started the process to verify something. I said, whoa, hold on a second. Yeah. Rang the institution in question, and they said, no, we're not carrying out such a thing. So...
Well, the one thing I just say to you, Keith, credit card companies, when they see unusual transactions to protect from fraud, do ring people to verify the information.
This is something very simple, actually.
Yeah, but that's where the problem is that these fraudsters are jumping on the back of that process. Now, if you get a phone call from your credit card company looking to verify some of the transactions on your account, it may be legitimate. Don't engage in the conversation, hang up, and source the phone number that you ring yourself. Source the phone number from the back of your credit card. Don't accept the phone number they're giving you to ring back, and then ring back your credit card company and just confirm if it's legitimate or not. Because at the end of the day, as we all know, if you get a phone call from anybody, unless it's somebody you know, obviously, you don't know whether it's legitimate or not. So the only way to verify that is to ring them back and use the phone number that's on the back of your credit card, not the phone number they give you.
I'm just looking at one here from Microsoft, Dave. I don't know if you've seen this, an official notification letter. Category winner, you've just won 950,000 and 450,000. I should pass it over to you in a second. But it's so well done that they actually have Michelle van der Burr, Managing Director of Microsoft UK and Vice President of Microsoft International, and there was a photograph superimposed on the signature.
Yeah, well, you see, they're very clever, really, these guys. Yeah, I'm just looking at this. You've got what appears to be, I don't know, is a legitimate address. I know, for example, I got one from Apple about a year ago, which was saying that I had won whatever. Now, I have an account in iTunes and I use my iPod a lot, and I initially thought to myself, this looks kind of legit, and I thought, well, it didn't come through my iTunes account, it just came into my inbox. And of course, once I just Googled it, I discovered this was a major scam that a lot of people were being targeted with.
All right, Dave, thanks for joining us today on the programme. That's Dave McCarthy from McCarthy and Associates joining us on the programme today. Now, let me go to